Alright guys, Doozer here. You've been working on putting the Rockford planer back together. And I got the clapper box and the downfeed compound all put together, and started moving the main cross rail up and down. And I noticed, you know, there was some movement of the elevation lead screw in its bearings. So the rail would stay stationary. I'd crank it like 3 turns and then it would start to move, and then I'd crank it and, you know, a couple 3 turns and it would start to move again. So let me take you handheld. I'll show you what I took apart. Alright, so let me get you steadied up here. I got the head, the cross rail moved down, and I actually got a tool holder put in there, and I was gonna see, you know, I was gonna get ready to cut something. Anyhow, and by the way, that is the proper orientation of that tool holder. There was some YouTubers with shapers and planers that were you know, running it backwards, and you can. It's just you want the point to be level with or be behind the axis of deflection. Oh, got a bird in here. How'd I get a bird in here? I'm gonna let him out. Well, let's go investigate. I'm gonna open the door. He must have come in. Let the heat out. Let's go chase this bird out. Honey bird. Aww. Let's get you towards the door. Alright, whatever. Oh. Yep, he figured it out. Great. Little chickadee. Alright. Good deal, I've seen him exit the premises already. Alright. Alright, so, anyhow, yeah, that's the proper way. It works the other way, works better this way. Anyhow, greasy gear cover, gear case cover. So, what's going on? Well, you kind of step on the bed and just, you know, grab a hold here and grab a hold and step on this, and alright, oops. So this is the gear case. Let me kind of situate you there. That's the gear that comes from ultimately the crank handle. And there's a big gear that I took off. That's in the parts washer getting cleaned. So that's a thrust bearing, which is good. And I think up underneath there's another thrust bearing that's lost its balls, because when you would crank it down, the gears would no longer be in plane. It would raise up 1/4 inch at least. So I just want you to look at this gearbox. This thing is about, you know, 5-6 inches thick. This entire gearbox was completely full of semi-solid grease, like a 0 or a 00 full of a double O grease. I mean, this was like peanut butter. I pulled, you know, 2 medium-sized paper coffee cups of grease out of here. I had some paper coffee cups from the bagel shop, and I said, well, let's put the grease in there. I filled 2 of them up, and I did it with a little spatula size of a teaspoon. Took me out, like, like, I bet you hour and a half, 2 hours to get all this grease out, 1 spoon at a time, and scrape it and whatever. But anyhow, it's got it's got 3 Allen bolts there and dowel pins. This thing was full to the top. This grease. I mean, it was freaking nasty. But I took it apart. Let me kind of grab myself down here. All right. All right, let me stand on the ground. Inside, you know, I can pull this lead screw down now, right? This lead screw, which goes down into the works. I can unscrew that and see what's going on. I'm assuming there's a thrust bearing. The balls fell out. That's where I'm getting that 1/4 inch of play. But all right, let me kind of set you down and let me get taking this back apart. Oh, let me take you to see the gear. Man, I was out here for like 4 hours yesterday, Saturday. Man, let me tell you, I got everything dirty. Man, I'm still touching stuff. I'm getting the camera greasy. And the big gear puller and da-da-da-da. So this gear was, I think it's, well, basically he was using, that is a palette knife for artwork. You can use them for frosting cakes and whatever. So this thing, this big old honking gear, and this was just 100% immersed in brown grease. It would come, it raised up about a 1/4 inch, and there's still plenty of engagement, and the teeth are absolutely fine. And then of course you had your key, and this is it takes an 1.25 inch socket, so I had an impact wrench, and I was able to get that off. And like I say, I did not end up using the gear puller because of the curve of the jaws. It wouldn't fit down the gear case, so I used a lady slipper pry bar, and it just came right out. A whole bunch of T-bolts from something else. They were just in the junk pile, so thought I'd clean them up. But that's what that is. These are cool. Tech spray. These are like acid brushes, but they're like twice the amount of stuffing. You know. Here, let me show you. I mean, there's a cheap acid brush. You can even see the diameters are thicker. But yeah, I got one of these. I need to order some more because these little cheap ones are garbage. So for parts cleaning in a little bit more precision areas, these are great brushes. So Tech Spray, I don't know, maybe I can get them on eBay or something, I don't know, or I can order them right from Tech Spray. So that's that. Get busy, see what else is going on. Alright, back with more. Alright, Doozer got you back here. I want to show you a little bit what I found with this whole deal. So I got the rod dropped down, right? This is all able to spin down, right? Got the key out. So this, let me try to steady the camera best I can. Scraped a lot of the goo and the grease off. I think this is what happened. So this collar is on the bottom. You can see there's a pin there. Get you a better, kind of hold the camera. Right? There's a pin there. And there's a pin there. So that's a smaller hole, smaller pin diameter than this one. So it's a tapered pin. So it's a tapered cross pin, goes through the shaft. Now look what we got going on here, okay? Let me kind of zoom you in. The pin broke and it dragged down. You see that? I'm scraping the grease off. The pin broke and it's dragged itself down and it's jammed, right? And if you look to the other side, boom, a clean shear, and there's the pin. So that's why this thing had so much play, right? The pin sheared and the collar pushed down. So when you would go to reverse, it had that much freaking space in there, right? So I gotta get this apart, get it out. The best bet, I think, is to drive that out. That's the big side, there's the small side. Drive that out, and then what? Drive that out from small to big, and then line this back up with that to boy, this thing's probably tight. If that's smeared, I might have to put some heat on this bajoker. The thing is, this shaft is free. To hit on that, you got to block it with a piece of steel to something. Well, this is all rounded. I'll have to get a piece of steel, maybe even a piece of aluminum behind it, because you can't whack on something without having the reaction force constrained by something more massive, because that's not going to work. So that's what's going on. That's why I got the play that I do. And glad that I found it. I know if I heat this up with a torch a couple times, let it cool, a couple times let it cool, it'll expand and yield and free everything a bit, this collar. I think that might be my first step, I don't know. But holy heck, this was full of grease. I mean, it was full to the top. It was within a 1/4 inch of the top, full of that liquid, semi-liquid grease. It's just ridiculous. And I spent, like I said, 2 hours last night cleaning that grease out. But I had to get down, because if I pull that off, there's a thrust bearing sitting there. At first I didn't even know how to get it apart with all the grease and the whatever. So I spent about 4.5 hours in the shop working on it without stopping. It was like 8 o'clock when I finished. I hadn't eaten, so 8 o'clock, cleaned up in the house. 8:30 I went to the bar at the corner of the street, got some chicken strips, got a beer, saw a couple of my friends there, relaxed, and that was a great time. Hanging out, getting some food and some cool beers, and just shooting the breeze and acting like a fool for a little while with your friends, and it was great. So now let me get going on this and see what progress I can make. Alright guys, it was easier than I thought, probably because I took a good approach. So there's the pin punch I used, and this came out of the shaft, so that's cool. And I used my my big copper hammer initially to get the pin driven out, so that worked. And so what I did is I kept now that I got the pin out of the shaft, I kept hammering with this little bitty hammer. I kept hammering up, right? And this is a great little hammer. I don't know how many ounces it is. I think 8 ounces. But anyway, so there it is. And there it is, right? So now that's easy to get the rest of that out. And I got to go hunting a taper pin. And I'll clean all this up really good with a file and wipe it down really nice and clean. And then we're on the home stretch of putting this guy back together. Yeah, that's what it needed. All right, let me keep getting busy cleaning this joker up. All right, guys, found another pin, and it should be a perfect fit. And this is the hub. And I got this all reamed out. I ran a 1-inch reamer through there. I had a 1-inch kingpin reamer, which was kind of cool, so I cleaned all that malarkey up. That's the bottom surface, and that's the surface that's going to bear up against the top of the gearbox. So I put a crisscross pattern on the surface grinder on it there. I only took off like not even a thou, but now it's good and flat, and should have a good bearing surface. I didn't do the bottom because, you know, it's got the part number. Probably still keep the part number if I just took a couple tenths. But anyhow, that's going to work. And yeah, luckily I have a stash of taper pins, so good on me for that. All right, let's see if we can get this installed. All right, I've got the pin put back in. On the collar installed on the shaft. There's the big side, there's the small side. The collar fit on just perfectly, slipped right on without being too loose. It was a perfect line to line fit there for sliding it on, and got the new pin in. So this thing, I know it's hard to see, it goes up inside the bottom of the gearbox. So say goodbye to this dude. And it screwed. Okay, now it stopped. So my flashlight went out of batteries. So that's the whole deal, right? That's how it kind of goes up in there. And you can't really see anything anyways. It's just a step. So, and then this ends up poking through. And I can put my gears on and put this whole shoot and shaboodle back together. I am not going to add grease to this. There is enough. This thing, no, it's silly to put grease in there. The way this works, this handle, there's another gearbox. This is actually stiff as molasses. So inside here has got to be gear oil like a crazy situation too. So that's pretty stiff. And I'm turning that, you can see that's going around. Man, that's stiff. So somehow inside there, I mean, is a greasy gearbox. So I'm not going to grease this. I'm just going to let what's going to be on there. It'll never wear out in 1,000 years. So that's that. All right, next step is to put everything back down in there. And yeah, and that'll be it. All right, bring you more. All right, we have it back together, and I got the shaft, like I said, stuffed up in there. I took it back down and added some grease around that collar that we fixed. So that's good, and that's how that all fits together. Let me step up top real quick. And I got everything put back together. Got that nut on there. Got the key in there. One thing that would be great, and I know the bigger models have this, is a power feed. Because this, not a power feed, but a power moving, the power motor for moving the arm up and down. Because this thing is a pup to crank, really. be best to come off of here and come out the top. I've seen some guys on the forums use Harbor Freight AC electric winches and adapting them for a power feed. So that's kind of neat. A lot of torque, low speed. I think it'd be perfect for this. Ideally you want to go on the small shaft because you get some more gear reduction. I could come off the big gear. I'm sorry, the small gear, because you get some more gear reduction. Could come off the big gear because I know this comes off. I tried one thing. Can you see it? Maybe you can't see it because it's in the shadow. There's a roll pin, a taper pin in there, and of course a key. I tried. I got the taper pin out. Came out fairly easily with one good hit. And I got my lady slipper crowbar in there, and the whole shaft started coming up. And I don't know what the deal is with that. I could just as easily make a power feed on the big one, but I think this is like, what's the proportions there? It's not quite 1/2. I think it's 2/3. So I get 1/3 more reduction using that, but I could drive off of this, depending on the winch motor thing I get. This is where you crank it, right? That's the, let me back up, show you. So on the top there, the shaft goes inside, in here. And so counterclockwise is up, right? I'm going up, and the locks are turned up, are off, and oh, this is just, man. I bet you that's, I could measure the foot-pounds. I bet you that's, well, this is, say, 8 inches. I bet you it's 15 foot-pounds. I'm gonna get a socket and measure it, but anyhow, it's hard to do. It's really hard to do. That handle's even shorter, but anyways. So I got it done. I just got to stick the cover back on. I got the cover cleaned up, and that's just going to go on. But in the future, thinking that a Harbor Freight AC forward reverse winch would be the hot ticket. And someone said that the I was on the internet forum. Ultimately, the drum is coupled to the gearbox with a hex, so they used a socket. So, anyways, got my tool in, got my bit in. We got this all situated. The new nipple in there because the other one was bent. Yeah, the 1/8 inch pipe thread nipple going into the clapper head was bent, just a little bit. And instead of that doofus gate valve, I got a real Parker needle valve with a reverse flow hydraulic check, right? And that's all hunky-dory. And you can read the dial, you got my wrench flats there. It's all good. It's ready to go. This thing cranks like a dream. All right, well, that's it for now. I'm not going to show putting the cover on because that's easy. It's just heavy. One thing I know, okay, look at this little dude is counterbalanced, right? That little dude, which I have to clean yet, it's not too bad, is counterbalanced by that cable, and this cable counterbalances it. And that cable counterbalances the whole cross rail arm. Wouldn't it be nice if I had a little piece of tubing coming out and counterweighting the end of that arm? Because it's cantilevering, right? So the force is pinching, well, it's pinching there and diagonally, you know, underneath where it pinches there. So that would go a long ways to make this easier, probably. I just hate that it pinches, but you know what? This thing's older than I am, and it's still not worn out.
So maybe that's a stupid idea. I don't know. Anyhow, it's probably getting long. Hope you enjoyed the fixing and repairing and all that stuff associated with this Rockford hydraulic open-sided planer. All right, until next time, Doozer Shop. Roll on 1, roll on 2. Why it's slow. Come on down, come on down, come on down. Yeah. Or, you know what? Maybe that sucker's closed. No, I don't know. It was leaking a bit. Let's try it now. Up. No. Up. No, I think it's got air in it. Maybe I'll let it run for a while. No, no. I mean, this is open all the way. Up. Come on, down, 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 down. No. I don't know. That's the push it down spring, and that's always been the one that's been there. And you can see, I think it's just air. Alright. Probably bleed it. Let me show you. Bleed it using that pipe plug, but we'll see. We'll let it run. Check you later.